All right. What is medical sales? So, medical sales is the selling of any drug, device, or service that facilitates the operations within healthcare. This can be pharmaceutical drugs like medications, whether it be injectable, whether they're pills, heck, even gels. This can be actual medical devices, whether it be screws, nails, implants, lasers. This can be diagnostic testing that tests your urine. This can be genetic testing that's testing, the very beginning stages of pregnancy and evaluating what's going on with that person to be. And the end customer is the IVF clinic. It can be all of the above. That is medical sales. Anything that facilitates healthcare, even the bandages, the swabs, the packaging. It's all part of it. It's all part of medical sales. And there are sales reps in every avenue of it. Every avenue of it. And dental, same thing. Sales reps selling dental to dentists, ophthalmologists, sales reps selling ophthalmology products to ophthalmologists. Any nuanced healthcare thing you can think of, there is 9 times out of 10 a sales rep behind it. And that is medical sales. It's one of those fields that's highly respected because you're working with a highly respected customer. Doctors are highly respected customers because of the great work they do to allow all of us to live better lives. And now you've become a part of that process, a very important because part of that process, because you believe in the product you represent, and you know that if your doctor is utilizing that product which you represent, that patient is going to have a better quality of life. That patient might survive. That patient might be able to walk again, write again, breathe again. You are literally changing lives. This is medical sales. Next question. Does it involve a lot of travel? So, medical sales does involve travel, but it's typically local travel. Now, you are going to have smaller companies and larger companies. And honestly, this is probably how I should break this up. Larger companies are going to have you in a local territory, meaning a couple of cities, maybe 5 or 6 cities. That's more than a couple, but 5 or 6 cities. And you're traveling amongst those cities. So it's not, you're not flying every day or anything like that. You're traveling, you're driving amongst those cities, and you're coming up with a routing that allows you to sensibly visit all the clinics or accounts within those cities. Smaller companies are going to require you to spread yourselves a little thin, and you might be covering a couple states: Arizona, California, and Nevada. For whatever reason, maybe that's your setup. And yeah, you'll be flying maybe once or twice a month to spend time in those locations to see the clients, and then back to your home state to, of course, see the clients. So it really does depend on the company you're working for, how big they are, and how much they're trying to penetrate the market and the territory they want you to be responsible for. The only other travel you're going to be doing beyond that is an executive role, which have traveling globally, and that's something that you would aspire to. Would definitely be in the beginning, and then of course the national sales meetings. Most companies try to have two every year, and a lot of companies prefer to fly their sales reps to headquarters. So if headquarters is in New Jersey and you're in Seattle, then yes, you expect to fly twice a year to New Jersey, or sometimes they might shake it up and decide to have it at a different headquarters site, maybe closer to you, but that's the kind of travel you'll be doing. How now here's another question. What do I need to have to be a medical sales rep? You need to have ambition, you need to have a good brain, you need to deeply care about people that's connected that you can, even better if you can connect it to a personal experience that's kind of created this drive in you to care so much for people. And it helps to have a bachelor's. You notice I said helps because we've even worked with professionals that did not have a bachelor's. They had an associate's or they didn't have anything, and we were able to get them into positions. But a bachelor's will help. And it makes sense. You got about 1,000 people going for these positions. Yes, 1,000 people going for these positions. How do you separate them out? Well, any hiring manager is going to say, okay, let me separate the bachelor's degrees out because these people went to a 4 year degree. They did a 4 year thing consistently and they did it well, all geared towards one topic. That's a level of reliability that I can count on more so than an associate's degree, more so than a high school degree. Does it mean The high school degree graduate and the associate degree graduate are not credible and can't do the job? Absolutely not. I've literally seen high school graduates get aesthetics laser device positions and make $700,000 a year, while the college grad is an OBGYN making 90,000 and scratching his head. How are they in such different worlds when he had that level of education? So I'm never going to say that, you can't get it without a degree, but I am going to say, just to separate everybody out, just to make it easier, when you got 1,000 people applying, they're going to look for degrees of separation, and a degree is going to give you those degrees of separation, and that's just what happens. So if you have the opportunity to get a degree, do it. If you don't let it deter you. Look into aesthetics devices. If you don't have one at all, a high school degree, you have an associate's, you can still hang with people that have bachelors, but just understand that you're going to have to show a little bit more oomph to bring it home in comparison to people with bachelor's degrees. One thing I also want to say about this is there's this rumor that you have to have sales experience to get into medical sales. Okay, will sales experience help? Of course. I mean, if you already know how to sell and you're doing some like hard sell, like car salesman or copier salesman or ADP salesman, you went through a pretty rigorous training program and you're doing some really tough stuff, boots on the ground, grinding. What that showcases to a hiring manager is you got some grit and you understand the process that you can execute. But 90% of people that go through a program do not have that experience, but they still have the grit and they can still demonstrate they got a process they can execute. So I'm saying all that to say, showing that you can execute and that you grind and that you can develop a process to operate by, you do not need 2 years or 1 year of sales B2B experience to get that. You have that right now. You just don't know how to communicate it to the hiring manager. And that's why you're not getting the job. And I need people to understand this because it's so critical to understand. All right. How do I choose my field if there are so many? Great question. So I'll give you a little bit of knowledge here. There are two main fields: pharmaceutical based, medical device based. And I'm going to split it up a little more. Pharmaceutical based, medical device OR based. Medical device OR based is what it sounds. A lot of these positions, trauma,